Oh, I forgot my light. Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's having a good day. I hope all of the pleasant things on everybody. I'm having a I'm not surprised day, I'm just disappointed day. Do you know what I mean? I was reading the responses to Alex O'Connor tweeting about how he simply acknowledged that there's a definition for atheism in philosophy, and I guess he's getting a kind of foo-foo pooped on for it a little bit. And I can't say I'm surprised, but I am disappointed. It's just a perpetual state of disappointment. Anyway, we're here to have some fun, so welcome to Dumb Fekk Friday, and that's what I'm calling it. For anybody who's aware, I am not intending on making this a weekly show because I do not wish to subject myself to this level of dumb during the week to try and select the dumbest of the Dumb Fekk Friday stuff. So this is probably just a segment that's going to happen when something just excessively dumb happens that just comes across my way that I'm just like, I need to talk about this. However, I'm going to prime you guys because I don't like to front or be sneaky about giving you guys some information to sort of set you up to notice the thing I've explained to you. So I'm going to prime you guys a little bit, and I'm going to explain to you real quick what race baiting is. Here's race baiting. I got this definition from RNGD Gaming, so super thanks for sending that on Twitter. It was top tier. I did add a noise gate, so please let me know if that's a little bit better. One of the reasons why my fan for my computer was so loud, because it was so hot here, I actually had to open my computer up. It is now closed again, so it shouldn't be as loud, and hopefully the noise gate will do it. I just have to remember to turn the noise gate on and off, because, I mean, if I'm live, it should be fine, but if I go live with Steve, I guess there's like a big giant click that happens. Helios for 2, just say it's my birthday gift as an excuse. Oh, it's your birthday. That's right, it's Helios' birthday. Happy birthday to Helios. Everybody give Helios happy birthday wishes. Now, I guess, on to the dumb. Hooray. Race baiting. The act of intentionally encouraging racism or anger about issues relating to race, often to gain a political advantage. So, that doesn't mean it only is political advantages, just advantages. Encouraging racism or anger about issues relating to race. That's what race baiting is. It's basically when somebody takes issue with something you're doing and they say, oh, it's because I'm this race. Oh, it's because I'm a woman. Oh, it's because... race baiting. Now, there can be times where you're legitimately like, I think this person is just behaving this way because I'm a woman or because of my race. Sure. This is when you're intentionally encouraging either racism or anger about issues relating to racism when there was no correlation in the first place. Is this another caffeine corner? Maybe. It's caffeine corner minus the Steve. Alright, now that you guys are familiar with what race baiting is, and I'm sure most of you already know, let's take a look. So I'm gonna read this all out, and then I'm gonna start touching on point by point. Nate the lawyer, because of course. Cult claims about me. 1. Not a lawyer because I'm black. 2. Physically harmed a woman I never met. 3. Worse than a serial rapist. 4. Defrauded a court. 5. Gave legal advice to a guy doing my artwork. This is what happens when you bust their online fraud ring. There's a lot to unpack here. Which is basically why we're doing this, because this is some dumb shit. This is basically a whole lot of shit that never happened, Alex, for 500. I'll give you guys a second to let your brain settle in. So, Dapper makes a good point. Where to even start? Probably at the bottom. Because this is very specific and yet very vague, this whole tweet. It's designed that way, that's on purpose. So this is what happens when you bust their online fraud ring. So this indicates who he's talking about, because at the top, he's very vague about who he's talking about. It's not until the fourth last word that he says and indicates who he's actually referring to. He's referring to me, Red's Rhetoric, 82, Steve, all of us. That's who this tweet's about. Of course, he's non-specific and doesn't say who he's talking about to the very end. Because that's what they've been saying about a lot of us, because we got taken advantage of by Sean Hufford and Ilya Moon. Now, the people who rectified those issues of Sean and Ilya, because I agree that there was bullshit going on there, but the people who did the work to rectify and resolve those issues was Red's Rhetoric and us. Mostly Reds. Reds did a lot of the footwork for all of that. So, props to him for figuring all that out, especially when the people that were involved were people he considered his friends. And that's not an easy thing to do. So, there was no fraud ring. A fraud ring would involve multiple people. There were two individuals doing separate things, not together, so not a ring, and only two, that were operating in two separate situations. One wasn't fraud, one was fraud. We've been over this before, though. So he's claiming that he's put in work to bust some kind of online fraud ring. Never happened. And he's saying he's being treated poorly about that thing. So that's where we're going to start. So, what are the claims? 5. He forgot a period after 5. And some of these words are capitalized. Why is not capitalized after the 1? And P not capitalized after the 2, but the W, D, and G are capitalized, and there's no period after the 5. That's not how commas work. You don't put commas at the end of a list. Okay, I'm picking on grammar now, sorry. It's grammar on Twitter. It's not serious. It's a goof. I'm just goofing. I mean, most of this is just me goofing, because who cares? Like, look at this. Who gives a shit? Why are we here? 5. Gave legal advice to a guy doing my artwork. He's not referring to Kyle. So, first off, apparently, didn't know this, Kyle was doing Nate's artwork. Knowing everything that Kyle had done and was currently doing, Nate decided to get him to do artwork, because I guess he thought that was a good association for him to make. So, there's that. Gave legal advice. So, he's saying that these are claims. So, to be clear, we know for a fact that Nate was helping Kyle. Nate said as much. This isn't a bizarre, because he's presenting these claims, he's presenting this list of things as if they're absurd. It's something that we talked about, I think we talked about it on Caffeine Corner, actually. We talked about when Kyle was lying by saying, oh yeah, no, of course I want to go back to jail. Oh yeah, no, of course I frauded this stuff. That's what he's doing. He's being obvious about the shit that he did to make it sound like it. Well, of course, yeah, I definitely helped out helped out Kyle. Yeah, no, definitely. Pfft. But he did. That's the thing he did? This is gaslighting. Now, gave legal advice. So there's some technical terminology there. So you could either be saying gave him legal advice as in officially, as in what Nate as a lawyer in New York is not allowed to do via the Bar Association because Kyle's in North Carolina. Or you could say that, oh, well, he was just a friend giving some legal advice, obviously not officially. We all know that Nate helped Kyle. Nate said he helped Kyle. He gave him advice about legalities. This is all well-known information. None of this is like a surprise. So, yeah. Now, whether or not what Nate did was against the rules or against the bar because he gave him legal advice as instead of as a friend, as a lawyer, two different things, completely separate things, and he's poisoning the well and putting out smoke, basically tear gas to be like, well, obfuscate this issue, make it confusing about what the specific conclusions people have come to. Right. 4, defrauded a court. Don't think anybody said that. Pretty sure they said you helped Kyle and Kyle defrauded the court. How involved Nate is, we don't know yet. We might know eventually. We might find out that Nate did help Kyle forge things. We don't know. It's speculation to say that maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but he certainly helped Kyle. If we listen to Ben, Nate's the one who came up with the idea, which was a bullshit idea that wouldn't work, because that's not how service works. So in that case, he assisted Kyle in lying to the court. Now, do we have definitive proof of that besides Ben's word and Nate's actions so far? As in, do we have DMs between Nate and Kyle? Not yet. Will we? Maybe. Three, worse than a serial rapist. This is an impressive misrepresentation of what had been said. What was said was that I don't know this person, and I do know Nate, and I would rather not be in a room with Nate because of what he said and done to me specifically. The person in question happens to be, that's being referenced, is Earl Warden, whatever. I can't remember his name. Warden, who was convicted of rape in the 80s, says that he never did it, and is standing trial for there's some other accusations that have come out about him in the recent past, which, as far as I last checked, which was months ago, he was planning on fighting. I don't know what has come from that since. I haven't looked recently, but take that for what you will. So, removing all of the context from this is incredibly manipulative and is very, what's the word I'm looking for here? He's looking for an emotional trigger, an emotional reaction. Well, how could somebody say I was worse than a rapist? I'll be clear. This is a statement of fact because it is my experience. Nate and his friends have treated me worse than the convicted rapist, Earl David Warden. I remembered his name. They have treated me more poorly than he has. So yes, in that context, Nate is worse than Earl David Warden, who is a convicted rapist. Because of his behavior and treatment of people. Not because of anything to do with any rape that's gone on or anything like that. Don't know if that was unclear to him or if he's just that stupid. This is something that came up last night, for anybody who was watching that stream. When somebody asks are they lying or are they stupid? Sometimes the answer is both, because they're being stupid about lying. Like, they're lying poorly, they're bad at it, or what they're lying, it's a dumb thing or a dumb way to lie about something. So yeah, this is just an entirely poignant, let me try and bait you and have you get an emotional response from people by completely twisting and removing any kind of actual information. Remember when I said he was being vague? He's being vague on purpose. Because again, keep in mind that the way this tweet is written, you don't know who he's referring to there. You do not know who he's referring to until the end. 2. Physically harmed a woman I have never met. This is the guy who is pushing the Katie Joy restraining order against Steve. The absurdity of this. Steve lives in California and Katie lives in Minnesota. And he's been trying to support Katie in this harassment suit that can't have taken place, like this of a situation that can't have taken place because they've never been in the same room together. Nobody said you physically harmed a woman at all. Nobody. Find me where. Pics or it didn't happen. Show me where anybody accused Nate of physically harming a woman. Because never met is very specific. I've never met. What you mean is you've never met in person. That's the physical part. You've never met them in person. You've met them online. You've followed them around online. You stalked them online, which is emotionally harmful. You've done a lot of things that are purposefully harmful to people's reputations, male or female. Physically harmful, different thing. Never met somebody. See what I mean? Manya says, I asked him to show proof and not just claim. He blocked me. Shocking. I know. He put this out here. If he's out there making these kinds of claims, he should have an easy time proving it, and it certainly wouldn't be offside for people to ask for evidence of any of these claims and who's actually making them. Number 1. I'm glad I'm probably going to get through this in under an hour because I don't want to talk about this for an hour. Number 1. Not a lawyer because I am black. Bitch, where? When is the only person who seems to care about skin tone in any of this is you. Nate is the only one who seems to give a shit about how light or dark someone's skin tone is, about whether or not they can be assaulted. So, nobody brought up your... The only person I think I ever saw bringing up Nate's skin tone was Dr. Cross laughing at an unattractive black man going at an attractive black woman. And she was making it like a joke. She was laughing at you. It had nothing to do with your credentials whatsoever. It had to do with your behavior and her experience with people behaving in the manner that you are. Smitty says, so he's going full Candace Owens. Any criticism of him is actually about black people because reasons. Yeah, this is the race baiting bit. I've never seen anybody say anything about Nate not being a lawyer because he's black. People saying you're not a lawyer is because of your statements about law being so mind-blowingly wrong and just incorrect of what any lawyer would understand is what makes people question whether or not you're a lawyer. Although some of your statements have got people questioning whether or not you're a dirty cop also. So there's that, or were a dirty cop. I mean, if there is an investigation that goes on, because discovery is still a thing that can happen on Kyle's case, according to the court record I read yesterday, and since Nate's been named by Kyle, if they subpoena Kyle's messages, it's very well possible that they could find Nate in contempt or some other inappropriate behavior that could get him disbarred. And if that's the case, he wouldn't be a lawyer anymore now, would he? I don't know. Intrigued Feline says people genuinely thought I was a lawyer by virtue of my actions and thoroughness. Yeah, exactly. It's not the question about your credentials. It has nothing to do with your skin tone. It has to do with whether or not you appear to know what the fuck you're talking about. If somebody who has no credentials can be confused for somebody who does have credentials based on their behavior and based on what they're saying because it lines up with what the fuck is going on. In my personal opinion, Nate is dishonest as he twists people's words. I wonder how he behaves professionally. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's certainly questionable. Seeing his behavior on the internet, I wouldn't want to hire him, personally. But that's probably why he uses a pseudonym. If I was behaving like Nate, I wouldn't want people in my real life to know that I behave this way. The trick is when you do number one, everybody around you, including your friends, then friends, assuming you have any, have to start being incredibly cautious about anything they say ever. This is basically, don't criticize me because of my skin tone. Or I'm going to try and send like a woke mob of people after you, or even just well-meaning individuals who are like, yo, don't be racist. And it's like, well, nobody said this. This is inciting harassment by making claims that are this just factually incorrect. Because the thing is, if any one of us had actually said that, Nate would have blasted it all over the internet. He would have clipped it, there'd be screenshots there, it would be everywhere if any of us had actually said this. But we didn't, which is why you don't see that. They blast anything they think can be viewed in a specific way, even if it's clipped out of context. Nate. And then they'll try and run with that. But to say the reason why it's not everywhere right now is because it never happened. And Dapper makes a good point. If any of us had said that, we'd have deserved it to be blasted. Absolutely, I agree. If like Team Skeptic or Fight the Flat Earth or something said something like this to Nate, it ought to be blasted everywhere. But you know who's not associated with us because of their fucking behavior? Fight the Flat Earth or Team Skeptic. If one of us ever said something like this, they'd get put, and we all found out about it, they'd be put on blast just as hard as Team has been for making threats. They'd be kicked out so goddamn fast it'd make a goddamn head spin. We don't deal with that. We don't play these kinds of fucking games, and we don't want that kind of stuff around us because it's racist. Who wants to hang out with racists? Nate? Is it you? Hanging out with Agrippa? Who's racist? That's like a regular thing. Agrippa's a racist. He says a racist, makes racist comments, racist threats all the time. He's actually a racist. He admits he's a racist. This is not news. But who does Agrippa hang out with? Who encourages and enables Agrippa? Oh, people like Nate. People who take shit out of context and try and twist it and bend it to whatever narrative they think they can do to try and get internet points. Crafty? The irony of Dapper says the irony of race baiting after saying a woman wasn't black enough to be assaulted is, well, something. yeah, it's kind of interesting that it's the person he's referring to who didn't want to be around him is black. She's half black, half white. That's the person he's referring to in both of these. Both of these are the same one, by the way, and both of these are the same one, so he stretched them out to make it seem like more than it is, because of course he did. Calling Agrippa racist is offensive to racists. That's how bad Agrippa is. Number one is just gross. I mean, it just gets worse, but number one is just... Let's look at the definition of race baiting again, since we just looked at that. The act of intentionally encouraging racism or anger about issues relating to race, often to get political advantage. Don't know what to tell you. Cult claims about me. What cult? Seriously. What cult? What cult gives a shit about Nate? Nate likes to insert himself in situations that have nothing to do with him, get in the way, be problematic and make things more difficult, and then demand that everybody praise and thank him for doing so. Go away, dude. None of us give a shit. None of us would ever talk about you if you fucked off. But you can't. You have zero self-control. You have a channel that blew up and was doing incredibly well, and as soon as that peak tipped off and started going down again, you immediately went right back to what you were doing, because you're not able to do anything but. And it's weird, and it's creepy. Get a life? What are you doing? Letty says in one of his videos he used race against Sweet. Yep. When you weaponize... weaponizing your skin tone against people is kind of fucked up. Kind of fucked up. It certainly doesn't help you, and it certainly doesn't help anybody of that same skin tone, because you're making them look bad. And you're also, you know, shitting on people who are actually might be allies of people of your skin tone, and you may be shitting on people who actually have to deal with people who are doing the things that you're claiming. There may be black people in various countries that are not being allowed to be lawyers, or are not getting clientele as lawyers because of their skin color, and that's a real problem. But you doing this detracts from that problem, because now when they speak out, people are going to be like, really though, is it? And this is what this group of people and Nate has done to women and assault and rape apologetics and the VAWA, the Violence Against Women's Act. They're abusing and trying to take advantage of these things to spin whatever they want, which is harmful to those things and the resources and the victims of these situations, right? It's ass backwards. Mr. Shiri says one is Nate's way of trying to gain sympathy. Cry and whine because people call him out for being a piece of shit, and he'll do anything to get it to stop besides fix his behavior. And to be honest, I don't even care if he fixes his behavior if he goes and does his behavior somewhere else where I don't have to deal with it. What does it tell us about Nate? Golden Unicorn says, what does it tell us about Nate that he refuses to acknowledge that someone is half black? I mean, yeah. Smitty says the cult is the cult of not being maliciously obsessed with Steve. Right? Golden Unicorn for 20 said, there are other lawyers on YouTube who comment on cases, but they correct themselves and apologize if they've got something wrong, which Nate never does, and they certainly don't pervert the process of justice like Nate has. They also usually don't actively attempt to interfere with ongoing court cases. Nate has actively interfered in the Kyle and Steve case. And the way he's done this is what Kyle said. If we're to believe Kyle, Nate sent and gave him a video that they submitted as court evidence, which was a misdated and woefully out of context clip show. Shocking, I know, from Nate, go figure. Trying to run this narrative that Steve had Kyle improperly served at an old address. Because of course it makes sense when you want to sue somebody to not properly serve them when you're looking for resolution or restitution. But yeah, what cult? None of us. I don't know anybody that has gone over to Nate's videos to talk to him or comment on his stuff. I don't know anybody who has made any alt accounts for going to talk to Nate or to get around any blocks. I don't, let alone any of like the people with faces. So like when I say that, I mean people who are like on Twitter or are commenters or lurkers versus people who have channels and make content. So like the difference between like I haven't seen Intrigued Feline going around making additional accounts to try to talk to Nate because shocking, none of us want to talk to Nate. So where is this cult? Who is doing this? Who is making these claims? Right? So the very beginning is vague and dismissive. So anybody who criticizes Nate is in a cult. Not going to say which one, not going to say who. Anybody who criticizes him is in a cult. Anybody who criticizes his lawyer takes is racist because it's because he's black that you are criticizing him. If you are a woman that he has attempted to actively do damage to, and he has harmed you, well, you know, he's never actually met you. You're crazy. Oh, and he's never physically been around you. So you can't possibly cause harm to somebody that you've never physically been around, could you? No. Criticizing him for his treatment of people obviously means you're saying he's worse than a rapist, which is not something that anybody ever said. Interfering, if you call him out for interfering in a court case and agree or quote what he said that he's done, well, he was just working with somebody on art. I don't know what you mean. Of course. And of course, obviously, the very last point is if you criticize at him for anything whatsoever, then you're just mad because you're part of a fraud ring. Shocking. Mr. President says, interesting to note that big YouTube lawyer who also reported on the KJ case is a fan of Nate. Guess one crow doesn't hurt another. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Where has anyone said number one about Nate? I don't know. It's Nate's claim. Ask him. I've never seen it. Don't know. He's blocked anybody who's asked. Actually, it might be interesting to do a blocked by Nate and just ask him. Just screenshot this at him and be like, hey, where has anybody said this? I mean, surely he wouldn't be making any kind of He wouldn't be making any kind of unsubstantiated claims like he seems to be trying to imply everybody else has been doing. Would he? Surely not. No. Segmentation Fault says, claims that he cannot hurt someone he has never met while accusing Steve to have hurt a woman he has never met. Exactly. Nate has made claims about a good handful of people harming other people that they have never met. So I don't know what to tell you. This is and you don't have to believe me. You don't have to trust me. You're more than welcome to go check out Nate's work, provided he hasn't tried to whitewash it. By removing and making unavailable certain things he may or may not have been saying. You can't really connect the dots with one dot. I don't know if one case of fraud is enough to make a ring. One case of fraud, probably not, but also that there has to be multiple people involved in said fraud for it to be a ring. A ring implies that there's a group of people working together to commit fraud plural. One person in one incident. Who's in the cult? I don't know! What cult? Good question, just passing through. Perfect question. I can't tell you. I don't know. I can't tell you because I have no idea. Go ask Nate, I guess. Surely he would know. I guess he wouldn't just make various unsubstantiated claims. Well, saying you are wrong without knowing it isn't a good opinion either. No, Dapper's volunteering as a cult leader. Okay. I'll second the motion. I'm fine with that. Dapper can be the cult leader. Ash says, he's got stupid hair, referring to Nate. Why isn't that on the list? I said it, and I'm in the cult. Do you get into the cult by just saying I'm in the cult? Because I think that would be great. For number 2, I can shoot somebody without ever meeting them. Yes, very good point. You could shoot somebody without ever having met any of them. Correct. Or without being in the same room. To be honest, I'd join a cult if they had coffee and cookies. If I hosted, a cult meeting, I would definitely be sure there was a variety of, snackage and drinks. His buddies are Uniliar, Conman, Felon Kyle, and Defamation KJ. That says enough for me. So there was something I was talking about last night, and it certainly applies to Nate here, and there's a difference between what is guilt by association, meaning that you've associated with this person, therefore you're guilty of their crimes, and saying that you've surrounded yourself with shit people, therefore I don't trust you. Because that's not saying that that person is guilty of those things. It means that you're using basic analytic ability and cognitive social skills to understand that if somebody is sitting in a shit pile, they probably smell like shit. Void coffee? Oh, is that super dark roast? Is that the one you're talking about? I don't really drink coffee at all. Once in a while I've had a cup of Joe that I have enjoyed, but I tend to be a tea drinker. I don't I don't have a coffee maker. I have no coffee in my apartment. I don't keep coffee. I'm enjoying catching up with... Sorry, I'm just catching up with chat. Is there a golden throne in this cult? Should it be a golden throne or a throne of the big throne of swords? Oh, hey, look. Coming to harass me after 4 days of trying to harass me on Twitter. Good. Let's just grab this right here real quick. Cool, thanks. Let me just grab this and Bye-bye. Oh, it wasn't even me. You beat me to it. God damn. God damn. Spicy. There's something interesting that I've come across a couple of times. It came across it a year ago, and it does seem to be the cry of assholes. And it's but you haven't asked me about what I think about the situation. You haven't come to me to talk to me about it, so how could you possibly know? And the answer is, if I'm commenting on what you've said publicly, I have no onus to go to you privately or go and ask for anything unless I have some reason to desire any kind of happy 17th. Thanks. It's not my birthday. It's Helios's birthday. Tell Helios happy 17th birthday. I have no onus to go to you to ask you for any more details or clarification if I don't want to. Unless I am looking for or don't shtick that I don't know or I don't understand, and I don't say so and I'm just speculating, then I'm kind of being a dick. But I have no onus to go to anybody privately to go ask for anything if I'm commenting on your public statements. I also don't have to care. I'm not obligated or required to go to Nate to ask him what he means, particularly since he's got me blocked already again. he popped out and said peekaboo for like 5 minutes and then was just like, run away. There's no need for things like this. I don't care. I find it bizarre that it's like, oh, how dare you criticize me? You won't even talk to me about my opinion. It's like, you don't shut up about your opinion. I can't not know what your opinion is. You won't let me not care about your opinion. you at least you don't accept that I don't give a shit. One of the funniest things I saw recently was somebody say that, what was it that they said? They said that, oh, well, I don't even dislike this person. Why won't they talk to me? I don't care if you like me or not. That has nothing to do with whether or not I need to talk to you. What level of entitlement do you have? This person probably drives a fucking Prius. God damn it. I don't know if anybody gets that reference. If you get that reference, one in the chat, please. Whitewash equals paint, which calls to mind Tom Sawyer, which makes us think of Rush, which proves Chesh is against other Canadians, which makes us think of Karate Kid painting the fence. More hate. Chemo, that's hilarious. How could I possibly say somebody has whitewashed something? That must be racist, right? Why are you shitting up priests? It's a Jeff Dunham joke from years ago. He is joking about the fact that he owned a Prius. Yeah. Oh, is there any questions? Is there anything in this chat, in this screenshot that kind of pops out to you guys? Because I want to know if there's anything I can kind of expound upon a little bit further. Could you give your position on the recent fallout from the fraud fundraisers, and that a lot of our community were affected, and yours and others' defense initially of the fundraisers? I never defended Sean, and Sean wasn't fraud, so there's that. I don't recall ever defending Elia, so I don't know what you're talking about. What was that online fraud ring thing he implies? I'm assuming he's referring to... surely he's not referring to Kyle's fraud. It seems that he's referring to Sean and Ilya, in which case Ilya was found to be fraudulent, and through the work of Red's Rhetoric, was able to be busted and able to be, everybody was able to be reimbursed for their money. Luckily, thankfully. Good job, Reds. He put a lot of work into that. And then when it comes to Sean's wasn't fraud. Fraud is when, I can expound on that. Fraud is when you ask for money on an incorrect basis. And Sean, I don't even like Sean. I don't know why I have to explain this all the time. Sean did not ask for anything that, or say anything that was not what the money was used for. So it's not like he said, oh, I need this money for my rent, and then went and bought crack, right? Or went and bought a new car. That would be fraudulent. Or went and took a vacation. That would be fraudulent. Sean didn't do that. Sean did lie. Sean did fuck up. But there was no fraud. One fraud doesn't really make a good ring. Correct. Not only does one fraud not really make a very good ring, but also only one person engaged in fraud also does not make a very good ring. So it's not... I may be more willing to buy the fraud ring idea even if there was only one fraud, if there were multiple people involved in like conspiring to commit fraud. So like if Ilya was the one who actually initially instigate, like was the beneficiary or was the one who fraud, but other people knowing about the fraud and trying to cover up the fraud. So like co-conspirators of Ilya, I would probably say, or Sean, I would probably name Team Skeptic and Negative Exponents, because both these people claim to have information about the fraud and they refuse to bring it forward, which means that they hid the information from the people who were investigating the fraud. So those would be the people that I would say were involved in perpetuating and allowing fraud to take place. By that regard. But Romani, I've already addressed that, so you're more than welcome to go back and check what I had said. I don't recall ever saying that lying is okay. I'm pretty sure I said Sean lied and fucked up. I don't know how that's unclear. Simius says, I'm a bit not so sober. Do I understand that right? Chesh is Nate and that she stole Non Sequitur show and 60K from Steve? Yeah, that's about right. I like this comment. I don't understand what did Nate do wrong? I feel like I haven't heard any specifics yet. You may want to go back and rewatch. Sean did say he had paid off the rent, which would be a lie of omission if he only meant a tiny piece, which would be fraud. I wouldn't take. That's not fraud. That's a lie, because he said that the predicate of the fundraiser was to get Sean out of his situation, which included paying rent but was not limited to paying rent. So because of that, it would not constitute like legal fraud. Now, if you wanted to say that, I mean, I do agree he lied and it was a stupid lie to tell, and then perpetuating it later was a huge super duper fuck up and not okay, but it wouldn't be fraud. Sean did not use the money on what he claimed. No. See, here's the thing. This is where people are getting confused. Fraud has to, if you're getting money for something and you don't spend it on what you were given the money to spend it on, correct. If you lie later on about the specifics, that's not fraud. But unless you have actually spent it on something that the fundraiser was initially predicated on. The predication of Sean's... Yeah, this is not semantics. This is very specific. This is very specific understanding. Okay. The predication of Sean's fundraiser was to help Sean get out of the situation he was in, which included, but was not limited to, paying off his rent. If he says later that he paid off the rent, but was non-specific or lied about the amount, the fundraiser was still not fraud. It just means Sean's a fucking asshole liar down the way. There's still not a fraud that's taken place with the fundraiser. Simple as that. Back to Nate. So, no fraud ring. He's very vague about who he's talking about at the beginning all the way through. Nate actually did perpetuate a fraud, which is Kyle. Not only did he assist him, but he has been involved throughout this entire process, including Kyle's fraudulent GoFundMe, which was predicated on a lie that he did not live where he said he was going to live, where he then used that money to lie to his lawyer to commit fraud on the court. So there's that. There's a whole missing $60K that is going on with that. Nobody said what he's implied in number 3. I find it distracting that number 2 and 3 and number 4 and 5 are the same thing. Like, if you did number 5, then that would involve number 4. And number 2 and number 3 are both talking about the exact same situation. You've just divided it up to make it sound like it's something that it wasn't on purpose. And again, nobody said number 1. Fucking race baiting. So, I think we're probably going to wrap it up there. I think we've come to the conclusion of fuck Nate. And if anybody wants to find out more about what's going on with Sean, go ask Sean. You're in the wrong place. I don't defend Sean's behavior. Sean fucking hates me. Sean's hated me forever. I don't think Sean ever fucking liked me. This is nothing new. It's kind of bizarre that people think like I'm buddies with him or something. Uncovering Hypocrisy said, I saw a clip from a recent uni video where he states he was speaking to the FBI about the fraudulent GoFundMes. The FBI doesn't give a shit about a GoFundMe. I don't think Unirock knows what the FBI does. I was promised an hour. It is fraud. It is a fraud. It's 53:55. Come on, that's fucking an hour. This is garbage. Why are you asking Reds to explain something that Sean needs to answer for? I think this is something that people get confused about. This actually culminates with what's Nate's saying here. Nate is saying these things, and then people come to us to ask us what's gone on and who said what where. Don't ask me what's gone on with Sean. Ask Sean. Don't ask Reds what's gone on with AT2. Ask AT2. Right? Don't ask Steve about who said Nate wasn't a lawyer because he was black. Ask Nate. Don't ask us about Uni's claims. Ask Uni. Go to the direct thing. That's pics or it didn't happen. Reds on multiple occasions says that he cut Sean out of his life once this was over. Go ask Sean. If you can't find Sean, that's sorry. Sucks to be you. You had like 2 weeks plus to sort that shit out. But the promise of an hour about that tweet, you got sidetracked multiple times, so it's a fraud. God damn it. God damn it. They don't give a damn if you're friends or not. They're just looking for an excuse to dogpile you. I mean, yeah. Play Pokemon to get the hour time in. Another important thing with that, leave your own bias outside when you ask those questions. Don't try to sneak in your preconceived conclusions. Yes, if you want to ask those things, be clear about your questions. Don't sea lion. Don't be asking leading questions if you earnestly want to know. Because the thing is like, I haven't seen a single question in here that has not been heavily implicating other things. Heavily implicating or trying to imply that shit is not the way it is. The thing is with the Sean and Ilya thing, one of the things that I find very, very interesting is that both Sean's and Ilya's things have been resolved. They were investigated. Money was given back where it needed to go back. It went back through GoFundMe and Ilya's situation. That's resolved. You know what's not resolved? Nate's involvement with Kyle. That's not resolved. So to come here to ask me about something that I'm not related to in any way is bizarre, especially about a resolved issue. Another... Oh, I read that one already. Sorry, I'm just catching up on chat. But yeah, it's usually pretty easy to tell when somebody has a bias when it comes to these kinds of questions or what people are asking. Just the fact that you're asking me here is telling on its own, especially since it's not only one, not what we're talking about, but two. I'm not friends with Sean. Golden Unicorn for 5, nor was I involved. Nor did I ever defend Sean or Ilya. Golden Unicorn for 5 said, like Nate's tweet with empty claims is on screen, I would advise go and ask Nate for proof for his claims of that tweet, in that tweet. Yeah, absolutely. If you want to know what's gone on with Sean, go ask Sean. If you want to know what's gone on with AT2, go ask AT2. And accept that what your preconceived notion is might not be correct. It's shocking, I know. You might not know what's going on or what has gone on. If you want to confront somebody, so let's say you think somebody's in the wrong, right? Let's say you think that, I don't know, what's a good example? Let's say you think that let's say you think I'm the one who said number 1, right? So let's say that somebody thinks that I'm the one who said Nate's not a lawyer because he's black. And you want to confront me with that information. Well, you said this. Where? Come with the example of what you're talking about. If you're going to confront somebody, bring that with you when you confront them, so that way you don't have to run around in the back to be like, oh, well, shit, where did they say this? And it's some out of context nonsense, right? So, Dapper Dino, how do you account for the abuse of the Catholic Church? Answer for their treatment of First Nations children. How do I account for it? I'm not a Catholic, so probably not really on me. I would say it's horrible, and I would say that the Catholic Church ought to fix their shit and be held accountable and responsible for their actions and do what they can to help rectify what they've done wrong within those communities. Or are you saying that I need to take responsibility for it? Because I don't know if I'm capable of producing that many children. Another thing, both Ilya and Sean have ceased their online appearances, so far at least, and yet they continue to perpetuate it. Well, the thing is that just because somebody has ceased their online activity doesn't mean that their email isn't still active. So now I don't know if Ilya has an active email right now that's publicly available, or if Sean does, for that matter. For all I know, those are shut down because I don't fucking talk to people. I don't like hanging out with fraudsters. So I'm not friends with Kyle. But if you, there's certainly, if you want answers to that, you may be able to contact them through email. Waffles are pretty great. I do like waffles. Jay Brown said, as someone who freely gave to Sean, I did not ask for my money back because it was not fraud. Be careful, there's a certain person who loves to clip things out of context. Captain Clippy over here, yeah, no one expressed joy when Ben revealed that. No one at all. I find it very, it's very telling to me when you find people who are so socially inept that they do not understand how people who are friendly and familiar with each other behave around each other. Right? They're usually taking analysis tips from people who are socially inept about social situations, probably not the brightest thing to be doing. If someone advances money to someone else with an expectation of some sort of recompense or action to be completed, it's not a donation, it's a business transaction. Yeah, that's also a totally different situation. Absolutely, yes. You have to answer, Dapper says you have to answer all questions about bad people doing bad things now. Well, shit, because that's a lot of things. That's a lot of things. I mean, I'm just trying to look at this one tweet. You were correct. You were corrected because you were using words incorrectly. I assume you always dismiss such corrections as semantics. Yeah, that's a bizarre situation that I think is going on, is people that... Words... I'm not a prescriptivist. I'm not certainly somebody who says you have to use certain words certain ways, but I am pragmatic when it comes to, if you want people to understand what you're trying to say, then there are more or less effective ways of communicating it. Why ask any of us any of these questions if you're the smartest person here, which must be the case implied by the fact that we're obviously just don't get it right. Well, I mean, you're more than welcome to have a you can make your own video. That's fine. Is it reasonable to infer that Kyle took GoFundMe money knowing he was submitting forged documents to the court? Yeah, I think so. I think that's a reasonable conclusion to come to, because he knew he was living there. Kyle knew where he was living and that he was given those papers, right? So if he deluded himself into being like, oh, well, I didn't really live there and I didn't... Like he said, the original papers that I was served before he got that lawyer. So, yeah, no, the predicate of Kyle's fraudulent GoFundMe is that he was not living at that place during the time of service, and he was, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter anyway. So yeah, absolutely. Now how far he ended up going, I would imagine that probably was not thought that far ahead, but I would have to check the dates to see when the GoFundMe was actually put together. Pirate Citizen, hi, how you doing? Go check out Pirate Citizen's channel. Just wait till Nate tries to use BLM against us. I mean, wouldn't be the first time stuff like that has happened. Weaponizing victims is par for the course for this group of people. I want to talk about Ilya, but I don't have her, or I want to talk to Ilya, but I don't have her contact information. I'm not sure she'll want to answer the questions I have. Well, that's her prerogative, right? I can't speak for her or anyone else about what emails they will and will not answer and what they do or do not want to talk about. So I would just... You'd have to probably go, maybe use the Wayback Machine to see if she posted an email somewhere. That'd be the best you'd be able to do. But I can't make any guarantees about whether or not she's actually going to answer. Well, now you have to answer and justify Kyle. No. No. What do you think about Nate making claims without proof and putting targets on people's backs? I guess by uni logic, everyone should have a restraining order against him for making videos about him. Yeah, I guess so. Pirate Citizen says, at Unirock, you've been on the wrong side of too many LARPs, kiddo. Fair enough. What if Kyle isn't really Kyle and just a doppelganger and the real Kyle is locked in a dungeon? I mean, that would suck for him. Uncovering Hypocrisy said, sorry, you were asking something to somebody else. Sorry. Okay, no problem. Most nations have the equivalent of fraudulent conveyance act to remedy the effects of improper transfers of property. Mm-hmm. Trigglypuff got caught lying and is still lying. Kyle's going to jail, sucker. And it's because he didn't show up to Steve's cease case because he was a complete fraud, like you. I mean, yeah, fair enough. There's, the thing is like, the kind of, like, spazzing. It's like, the amount of salt and aggression. Like, I don't think I've had actual trolls come over to my streams in quite some time, but all of a sudden, there's a ton coming in because of the hearing and the arrest warrant and shit like this on Twitter. Like, it's interesting that the salty tears falling from above have been so grandiose and so it's like hailing salt, and it's so bad that there's slugs in the ground that have been buried for like 6 years that are deciding to crawl their way out because the ground is too saturated with salt. Is it telling a lot when people are asking questions about other people to a 17-year-old girl with only 62 IQ? Yeah, maybe. There's something to be said for when people ask others that weren't involved to comment or stand trial, I guess, or justify shit that they had nothing to do with, or anything like that. Again, like I said, I don't defend Sean. I didn't defend Ilya. So it's bizarre that I'm the person they're asking these questions to. You're always best to, if you can, go to the direct source. If you can't, sucks to suck. Huffer didn't lie about the fundraiser. His fundraiser was to get him out of a bad situation. This was not limited to paying rent. Yeah, that's the predicate, which would constitute the fraud, correct. Trolls are fired up because they own themselves. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. It is definitely the self-burn. By the way, we need to get on a stream together again sometime, because that's just a grand old time. Rodent No Last Name said, just watch Rachel Oates' Jimmy, Mr. Atheist Narcissist vid. It's a month old and I completely missed it. Relevant to this tangle web of shit. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Jimmy and Nate are buddy-buddy. They're all friends with Shannon, and they're all friends with Kyle, and they're all friends with KJ and GE and Casey. These people are all intertwined and connected and are all, like, buddy-buddy with each other. So, I mean, none of this is surprising to me. It's one of those things that's really only a matter of time. I mean, Matt Dillahunty was commenting on Nate's video when he was streaming them listening to the court case that they weren't supposed to be doing according to the court, the hearing between the two. So when it was the judge and the two lawyers, and Nate was saying, so it's against when they asked for the depositions, Matt said something along the lines of, there's a screenshot of it if you want the exact quote, but he said something along the lines of, so this comes down between Kyle and a drunk ex-boyfriend. Congrats on the win, Kyle. So you've got Matt Dillahunty supporting Kyle. Because that goes beyond just, oh, well, I just didn't get involved or I just didn't say anything. That's him directly commenting and involving himself. And that's not the first time. If you look at my other videos about Matt, there was an interaction between him and Red's Rhetoric on Twitter that I looked at and covered, where he was pushing Nate's bullshit on Reds and asking Reds to explain and justify and verify Nate's claims. Mr. Oh, if you make the claim, you have the burden of proof, was asking other people to prove somebody else's claim. Of course he wasn't going to Nate to do that. All right. When our Golden Unicorn says, coming back to that stupid tweet of Nate's. Yeah, Yeah. But, yeah, oh, I missed sorry, it jumped forward. I missed a bunch. When are you starting your salt company? You could turn a profit. Listen, the entire price of salt has dropped to rock bottom because there is way too much on the market right now. Fraud might be considered theft by lies. Yes. Yeah, you could frame it that way, sure. Big digits, I would recommend going back and watching the stream for that if you have access to it, because that would be Sean explaining that he needed help getting out of his situation, which again was mainly for paying rent, but not limited to paying rent. On top of that, if you watch that video, the person who's suggesting that Sean do otherwise with the money was Team Skeptic. Sean thing has been settled. You're still butthurt about it. See a therapist. I mean, yeah, the thing is that these are resolved issues, so talking about them at this point is more just hindsight's 2020, I guess. Trolls try so hard to sea lion. Yep, true. Rodent no last name. Although I do enjoy that they're like asking victims to justify the behavior of the person who victimized them, which is kind of fucked up. Rodent no last name for 5 says you need to make a parody of Molten Salt logo, girl in a raincoat with an umbrella, but it's your goblin character. Yeah, that would be good. I'd like that. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up on you guys are going at it, and it's great. Everybody claiming it was fraud is someone who didn't donate. People who actually donated their money don't seem to be saying it was fraud. Yeah, fair enough. This is... Oh, is this the... I think Intrigue Feline found the screenshot of Matt Dillahunty. Let me see. Oh, yeah, here it is. So, let me just open this. I'll bring this guys over so you guys can see it. There you go. So, some familiar faces in there. This is why I say kind of pay attention to who behaves in what way and who they're around. Matt Dillahunty, so this is going to come down to whether a drunk ex is truthful or not. Congrats on the win next month, Kyle. There's the stream date. Big oof. Tweet things that did not age well. Thank you, Intrigue Feline. Yeah, I advise you go and talk to Sean. Chesh never supported Sean, so why are you commenting here? Yeah, I mean... No, forget Nate, this rant is about Sean and Chesh stream now, because reasons... I don't know, I don't... If you can't decide to spend funds on something else, charities would all be out of business. True facts. I mean, you can nitpick poor people spending money on getting a coffee, saying that, well, you know, they shouldn't be buying coffee if they're that poor and can't pay bills. It's like, well, you're just a douchebag. Hello, Monica. Please direct any further questions or comments to Sean. Yeah, absolutely. Golden Unicorn says, for 2, so Matt Dillahunty demonized someone for drinking? Yeah, I mean, he certainly seemed to have a go at Ben, who I would presume he never spoke to, and just made assumptions. Has anyone on that side come out and said they were wrong about Kyle, or is their hate for Steve so much they can't admit they were conned by Kyle? I haven't seen anybody that, out of this screenshot, the only person who has, like, rectified their position. Speaking of, like, Nate hanging out with racists, by the way. is Peter Riley. Peter Riley is the Forbes writer. He seems to have completely distanced himself from all of these people, but has made corrections to his article. So props to him for seeing through some bullshit. His testimony about Kyle's crimes are irrelevant because he's not one of the rare straight-edge weirdos. Matt Dillahunty believes a drug addict over a drunk. Quotes. Yeah. Oh, was Conti actually Agrippa? Yeah, sorry, Agrippa. If you want to come in here, you have to be on your main account. Feels bad. Rough. : hold on, did I just hear right? You're trying to lay the blame for what Sean did on Team Skeptic while you're pushing the narrative now. No, that's not what I said, so no, you didn't hear right. That's not what I said at all. You might want to go back and listen to it again, because no, that's not what I said. Nope, friendly fire. Seeing Nick Suter there with Minister Sobriety and Agrippa is hilarious. Yeah, it is. It is pretty funny. I think there was a video that was making the rounds that I think Letty made that was like playing In the Arms of the Angels, and it was just like had all those people and it just slowly zoomed in on Nick. Rest in peace for a moment of silence for our fallen comrades. I recorded it. What do you mean? This is a live stream. What are you talking about? I recommend you set your bias aside for a moment and actually listen to the words that I spoke. It's okay, I believe in you. You've recorded it, so you can... this is a live stream. I have privated some streams. No, I unlisted some. There's a couple of streams that I have unlisted that were from like years ago, and it's just me playing Banjo-Kazooie. But those streams are in a playlist, and the playlist is public. So, YouTube is recording it as well, just for you. You don't think people can't use logic capture? What are you talking about? What? Are you okay? Are you alright? Are you having a bad day? I remember that video. Uni was so animated and jumping out of his chair like Kyle was actually going to win something. Oh no. Okay, yeah, you rewatch and check again. Check your bias at the door, and if you're in a bad mood, maybe take a minute. Okay. I mean, I don't mind. I don't care that you recorded it. It was just a bizarre thing to say. Well, of course, why would people actually be concerned about Nate's behavior when they can try and peg me for shit that other people have done? I think it will be hilarious as certain people retcon their past behavior to justify the recent change in position. Yeah. Oh, I'm not sure which picture you're referring to, but yeah, it's all good. I'm not worried. I was just very confused. When people blame Sean for doing something that has been suggested by someone else and said people doing the blaming are not directing their issues to the person making the suggestion. That's fine. It's okay. You're alright, Colin. It's fine. Nobody's mad. Oh, Icarus is having a hard time. Oh, one of the things that I do enjoy about having a live chat showing above, which I wanted to mention, is that you can see later down the line what people have said, even if they get like kicked out of the stream by mods. So like even if the mods ban or hide somebody, whatever they've said is still up here, unless it gets unless I go in to edit it and blur it or something, like if it's somebody's docs information. Pirate Citizen, where's the Bull? Unfortunately, Bull is no longer with us. Bull died just past Christmas. So he is sadly no longer with us. So rest in peace. There is a Bull in the chat. My last comment would be how it seems only right for anyone who helped promote the fundraiser and subjecting those subs to what occurred. Haven't heard any apologies for that at the very least. Then you haven't been listening. Reds made a public apology, as well as put in all the footwork to make sure everybody got their money back. Ilya actually also made an apology for a lot of that stuff. So most of that stuff is all actually public information. So, yeah, I mean, it's possible that you just missed it. There's a lot that goes on, so it makes sense that not everybody can see everything everywhere. But, yeah, Dapper made an apology video because he supported Ilya's fundraiser. Yeah, all that has gone on. I think we're going to end it here, as Nate is somebody who is pushing and has assisted pushing some seriously deranged conspiracy theories, as well as going after grieving people and trying to weaponize the death of Boole. This is something that has gone on, and I think that's probably a good place to end it. But thank you everybody for coming. I'm pretty sure we did hit the hour mark. Oh yeah, we definitely did. Fuck Nate Brody? And also people in the chat that kind of got to experience the twisting of that whole situation and the live action twisting of what people have said. I hope it helps people in the future recognize this kind of behavior a little bit easier. And be more like Boole. Have a good day, everybody. And I hope everybody enjoys their weekend. Have fun, and keep an eye out for Kyle's mugshot, because that'll be lovely. I'll catch you guys next time. Have a good day. Bye.